Hello again, I'm here with Adi, and today we're going to show you how to make your very own iPad holder out of, actually we're going to try a few different methods, but see, it works really well holding an iPad. You can use it to hold your cell phone as well. Okay, and we're going to try different pieces of wood and show different arrangements that you can do at home. Before we get started, I'm going to have Adi put on her eye protection. This is a good thing to have on anytime you're doing work with wood projects or metal projects or anything like that. So we had a look around and I found a piece of 1x3. So we're going to try making one out of 1x3. And I also found a 2x4, which is another pretty common piece of wood. So we're going to show a different way of working with that. Okay. So first off, right in front of Adi here is the miter box, the red miter box, and this you can get at Rona or Home Depot, and you use that with what's called a back saw, the black handled saw there, and with the saw, obviously it's very sharp, so you need to keep your fingers well away from the cutting blade. If you don't have a miter box and you can't get to Rona or Home Depot, as long as you have something like a little bit of plywood, some kind of other piece of wood that has a nice clean edge to it, you can make your own little work surface, which we've done over there. So we'll show you different steps that you can use both ways. We're going to be using a hammer. And we're going to do a little bit of nailing. So we'll mention hammer safety around nailing. And we've got our trusty tape measure and a speed square. If you don't have a speed square, then you can use what's called a combination square. If you don't have that, then you can just use a regular ruler. And last but not least, we're going to try one method using a chisel. Chisel's very, very sharp, which is why it has a little guard at the end there, just to make sure that you keep safe, and we'll be doing that last. So Adi's going to mark the piece of 1x3, and she's going to end up with 4 different pieces. The first piece she's going to make a mark at 1 inch and 1/4 of an inch, so 1 1/4 inches. Just make a little mark there. And the next piece is at 5 1/4, and then the next one will be at 11 1/4. So now Adi is going to be transferring those lines to the edge of the wood, and this is where the speed square comes in handy. So I've got the piece of wood and I've clamped it into the miter box just so that Adi can keep her fingers safely away from the saw blade. And you'll notice that we're going to be cutting it at 22.5 degrees on this one. And that's going to give us our nice angle for the iPad. Adi's finished cutting her pieces, and what she's going to do here is basically attach them. Now there's 2 different ways that she could do this. She could glue it, or she could nail it. So this first one we're going to nail, and then we'll do a second one and show you how to glue them together. So Adi's just doing a little bit of sanding now. She's got her dust mask on. Obviously the sanding generates a little bit of dust. So the edges that she's mostly worried about are what are called the inside edges. So that 22.5 degree angle cut, which she sanded off first, because those parts she won't be able to get at once it's all put together. When sanding, especially into a cut, make sure that you sand down into the cut and not pulling up the other way, which is going to end up splintering the wood. So Adi's using some green painter's tape to hold the pieces together. so that when she nails it, she doesn't have to concentrate on holding the pieces of wood together. She's just making marks where she wants her nails to go. She's going to be using 1.25" finishing nails. And again, these are, you can get at any lumber yard, any hardware. And the trick with nailing is we're going to be using a 10-ounce hammer. And when you're nailing, you want to very kind of gently, the only time the nail's dangerous at all is when you first start. So you don't want to start with a big swing, just gentle little taps to get your nails started. Addie is nailing in from the back, the bottom side of the iPad holder, so that way when we're all finished you won't see any of the nail holes. And you'll notice that when she's setting her nails, they're set in from the edges, and that way the wood is not going to spread. So Addie is finished with the nailing now. She's just taking off the painter's tape. And the last step, she's going to do a little bit of light sanding and then it's all done. Or she might decide to paint the wood or use a natural stain. And I'll let her decide how to do that, and we'll show you at the very end what that looks like. So here's another style of iPad holder. We're using a 2x4. An old 2x4 that we've recycled, and we've cut grooves at 22.5 degrees, and we're going to hollow that out now with a chisel. So Addie's going to take the chisel and very gently start carving out that wood in the center. So when we're done chiseling, that's more or less what it looks like. There's our little groove, you can see. Right, and that's we're going to have our iPad made out of one piece of 2x4. So Addie is cutting another piece of 1x3, and this piece we're going to just have it square. And this is for people who don't have a miter box, and this is probably the simplest way of making an iPad holder. So Addie has just finished cutting the last version, the square cut version. And this one we're going to glue together. So you're going to show you how to use just plain white glue. And in a wood shop, you would use one of these clamps, or two of the clamps, to hold the pieces of wood together once the glue's been applied. But we're going to just use a couple of heavy books, which will do the same trick, and it's probably a lot easier for you to do at home.
So this is the first iPad holder you could make. It's made out of a 1x3 piece of wood, and it's cut at a 22.5 degree angle, and it is nailed at the back. This is a 2x4 piece of wood, also a 22.5 degree angle, chiseled out. And this is the simplest one, which was glued, and it is a square cut. The glue dries overnight, so just leave it overnight. And once you're done with your project, you could paint them or decorate them. For example, this one, we did a water-based varnish, which we let to dry overnight.